Hello, everybody. It's Vital Rich here with my Cramps Records. I did a Cramps video 5 years ago. It didn't come out very good. I used to do my videos back then on a laptop, and the sound is horrible. The visuals are horrible. And I kept referring to Miriam as Brian Gregory's sister. So I'm going to do it again. And I bought quite a few since then, so yeah, I'm updating it. And we're going to get started. The first Cramps single came out in 1978. It was recorded in 1977 by Alex Chilton from the Box Tops and also from Big Star. And this is Surfin' Bird and the Way I Walk. Now, Surfin' Bird, the guitars and the distortion of the guitars, it kind of sounds like, it predates what Sonic Youth was doing in the 80s. And it's on Vengeance Records. I think it was self-released maybe. And their second single, The Cramps, Human Fly and Domino, also came out in 1978 and was recorded in those same sessions. And I think this one here has a glow in the dark. Yeah, I can feel it. And what's cool about it is Lux and Poison Ivy, hand painted these on there. So that's kind of cool to know. But yeah, produced by Alex Chilton. Recorded in Memphis, Tennessee at Ardent Studios. And again on Vengeance. And this one, Human Fly, I would say is an example of the first example of the classic Cramps sound. And what I mean by that, it was a self-penned song, and it had the dual guitars of Poison Ivy with the surf and rhythm guitar, and Brian Gregory with the distorted, just and fuzzed out and just crazy ass. I didn't realize how crazy ass it was until I actually saw them live. And this is Greatest Hits. This was came out in '79, and it is basically those two singles plus Lonesome Town, which was another song that came from those sessions. And I didn't really need this, but And it's got a really cool picture of the band playing live right here. And you got Poison Ivy, you got Brian Gregory on the ground here, Nick Knox, and I believe that's Lux Interior climbing over the seats. I didn't mention it, but I guess Lux Interior and Poison Ivy, they met in Sacramento, California, and I believe 1974. And this is what Greatest Hits, the label, looks like. And they moved to Ohio, and then they moved to New York. Now, their first album came out, Songs the Lord Taught Us. It was released in 1980, though it was ready to be released, from what I've read, in the summer of 1979. But Alex Chilton kept pulling it and redoing it, remixing it and remixing it and remixing it. And it delayed the album for, I would say, almost a year. It's a demo version. At least it's stamped on there. And all that means is I was able to pick this up in the dollar bins, because this was not a bragging rights back in the day, man. That mean it was a cheapo. How things change, huh? But yeah, this is a fantastic album. And it starts off with is it TV Set? TV Set, yeah. And that's the song. The first time I saw the Cramps, when Brian Gregory goes into the solos, I think he does it 2 or 3 times in that song, and it's just distortion, and I never heard a guitar solo like that, and that's when these guys are something else, and they all had so much charisma, and even though they all had so much charisma, you couldn't keep your eyes off of Lux Interior, man. He was a psycho on stage, and that's what the label looks like on that. And I do have an 80s version of this, and it's got the barcodes. And I know this is an 80s version because I bought this in the dollar bins in the 80s. And it's got this IRS label on it. Now, their second album came out in 1981, and it's Psychedelic Jungle. Now, this album here, it's got quite a bit of a, kind of a 50s feel. Not all of it. And some garagey. This one here had some songs that had like a 60s feel. Like green. It starts out with Green Fuzz, and it's got a 60s psychedelic feel almost to it. The second song is Goo Goo Muck, and that is actually one of my favorite Cramps songs. And it's a really good album. I don't think it's quite as good as the other album. It has Don't Eat Stuff Off the Sidewalk, which is another song that has like psychedelic 60s sound to it. But the words are just so lame. I don't really care for that album. And then it's got a couple of kind of, I think Voodoo Idol. That one's okay. And is it The Natives Are Restless? It's a good album. It's just not as good as the first. And it came in this orange sleeve. And I guess this sleeve is very sought after now. And and it came with this insert stuff you can buy. You can buy a t-shirt for $7, a button for $1, and an 8x10 glossy for $1. And this one is on this IRS label. Same thing, but just black. And I do have the Goo Goo Muck 7-inch. And it's backed with She Said. Like I said, this is one of my favorite songs by them. So I had to get the 7-inch. And this is what the record looks like. And I don't know if this sleeve went with this sleeve, but this is how it was when I bought it. I bought it used. Now, they had some legal problems. And they didn't release another album, studio album, for when did a Date with Elvis come out? Well, whenever. It was 86, I think. So you had like a 5-year span where they couldn't release a studio album. And it's kind of a shame because during part of that period, they had King Congo Powers with them. And he's on this one. It's a live. This is live at the Peppermint Lounge. It's an EP. I think there's 6 songs on it. And it sounds fantastic, dude. And where is it? You Got Good Taste. Call of the Wig Hat. That is another one of my favorite songs by them. And yeah, this is just, it sounds really great. And yeah, Brian Gregory left, and Kid Congo Powers, who was an original member of Gun Club, joined. And they didn't really miss a beat. And it comes with this Enigma Records insert. And the Enigma Records had some great records, man. And that's what the labels look like. And on the back side, it had the Enigma logo, I guess you would call it. Now, they couldn't release any studio albums because they were fighting with the IRS, I believe. But a couple of comps were released in those times. And this is Off the Bone. This came out in 1983. Same year as The Smell of Female, the live album. Both came out in 83. And what this is, it's both of those 2 7-inches and a lot of B-sides. And A-sides. It's got Goo Goo Muck on here. But yeah, it's a really good comp, actually. I mean, this is a good starting point. It does have Lonesome Town on it. And my one is on Illegal Records. Now, Bad Music for Bad People is another comp that came out. And this one came out on IRS Records, I guess cashing in because they knew they were going to lose the Cramps. And it's got a lot of the same songs as this one. Oh, and by the way, this is a 3D cover, and it came with these 3D glasses. Let's see, can you tell? And this one it's a very good comp. It just doesn't have near as many songs. And it's a good comp. Great front cover. The back cover's not as good. But yeah, this is an iconic cover. And it covers a lot of the same material. And I got a yellow one. And I didn't know at the time, but it turns out this is actually a bootleg. But, oh well. I thought, oh man, I'm going to get the cool yellow one. Yeah. Now, their next their next studio album was A Date with Elvis. This is a little more polished sounding than their previous albums. I mean, not a little, it's a lot more. It's a fantastic album, man. And I can't really read the songs. It goes, how far can... Side one, just put it this way, is just fantastic all the way through. Yeah, side one is just killer, man. Can your pussy do the dog? What's inside a girl? How far can too far go? The hot pearl snatch and people ain't no good. Now, their song titles and content started to lean a little in the sexual innuendo more with the start of this album. And you can even see Poison Ivy in the pose in her little devil outfit. Fantastic. Now, you got, I don't know if that's Candy right there. You have 4 people here on the cover, but it actually, Poison Ivy plays all the guitars and all the bass on this. It was only 3 people actually on this. Nick Knox, Poison Ivy, and Lux Interior. And it's just a fantastic job, man. Lux's vocals are great. That's another thing I didn't mention. Lux Interior, man, he has a great voice. And this is what the sleeve looks like. And this one is on Big Beat Records. New record label. This is, I believe, the UK version. And I do have a couple of 12, well, a 10-inch and a 12-inch from that album. And this is Can Your Pussy Do the Dog? And it's backed with Blue Moon Baby and Georgia Lee Brown, which I believe those 2 songs were actually recorded before September of '83, it looks like. And they're with Kid Congo Powers. And this is what those, it's got the Cramps on one side and the song titles on the other. Pretty cool 10-inch, man. And I do have a 12-inch. I found this in the dollar bins. And it's Cramps, What's Inside a Girl. And you got Get Off the Road and Give Me a Woman. And those also maybe also from the Kid Congo Powers sessions. And yeah, you got Candy here. But she is not on the tracks. It was only 3 people that recorded that album. And that also was on Big Beat Records. Now their next record was a live album, and it's Rockin' and Reelin' in New Zealand. And this came out in 1987, the following year. And it's a fantastic live album. If you want to get a live album by them, this is, if you can find it, this is actually a really good one to get. It's got songs from the Date with Elvis. And yeah, it concentrates on those songs, actually. It does have Sunglasses After Dark and Heartbreak Hotel. Heartbreak Hotel might have been on that Elvis album. And I like this album. And it's on Vengeance Records, their old label, made a comeback. And it's a really good live album. Their next studio album came out in 1990. And it Stay Sick. Now this one also, it's cleaner than even A Date with Elvis. And it starts really strong and it finishes really strong. Some of the songs in the middle I think are not quite as good. And then you got Poison Ivy with her sexy pose on the front. And this is what the sleeve looks like. And here's a picture of the band with Lux Interior and Nick Knox and Drag. And yeah, it's All Women Are Bad, Bikini Girls with Machine Guns. It's a really good album. And I do have a couple of singles from this one. Now, I bought this one when it came out. And it wasn't cheap, $9 at the time. And it's a picture disc. I hope you can see it. And it's Bikini Girls with Machine Guns. If you can, check that video out. It's pretty funny. And it's backed with Junkyard Back Off, which is a song that was done with Kid Congo Powers in the band. And I got one more 12-inch. And this is also another one that I found in the dollar bins. Creature from the Black Leather Lagoon. And it's got, side 2 is Junkyard Back Off. And then you got Beat Out My Love and Her Love Rubbed Off. 3 songs on the B side. And the A side is Creature from the Black Leather Lagoon and Jailhouse Rock. Pretty cool 12-inch, man. 5 songs, you know. And it's on Enigma Records. Now, as far as the Cramps, that was when back in the day, that's where I stopped. All these other ones I bought years later. And I had heard this one, Look Mom, No Head, in Middle Earth Records. Tim was playing it. And I don't know, I thought it was okay. There was one song in here that I remember I did not like. It was like a slow song. And I don't know. Whatever. Does it really matter? But I really like this album now. In fact, the Cramps didn't really make a bad album, man. You know? And this one is definitely going into a heavier direction. Especially than Stay Sick and Date with Elvis. And it's not that garagey, real lo-fi sound of the even earlier stuff. Yeah, this has definitely got a heavier sound. And it's got a Slim Chance on bass guitar. And you got Jim something on drums. Now, I never saw this version. Nick Knox was always in the band when I saw them. I'm trying to think of it might have been the Strangeness in Me, the very last song. So I might have been here in side 2. And I don't know, it just, at the time I didn't care for it. And this is what the album looks like. But yeah, like I said, it's a great album. It's not their best, but yeah, it's really good. And I think this is like the insert. And that's so funny. Lux Interior, man. His high heels and whatever you call that. That's scary, dude. And then, yeah, these two were a couple, man. Married till the very end, till he died. But yeah. Dames, Booms, Chains and Boots. Two-Headed Sex Change is a good one. Alligator Stomp. It's a really good album, dude. And then the year after that, you got a Blues Fix. This came out in 1992. And this is really cool too, especially side one. Side one has a blues feel to it. And here you go, there's Poison Ivy. You can actually see her butt there. Kind of blurry, but... And then side two is Jelly Roll Rock and Sean Baylor or Sean Baller. And these are all covers. In fact, the first Hard Working Man is a Ry Cooder cover. Yeah, but Blues Fix, I really like side one of this with the bluesy feel to it. And that's what the labels look like. Same on both sides. Now their next album, man, Flame Job. This is when they really started getting heavy, dude. And this came out in 1994. And there you go. It's Poison Ivy again on the cover. And this starts out really heavy. And it does kind of have a 60s... Nest of the Cuckoo Bird has a 60s and heavy garage sound. But Mean Machine and Ultra Twist, they just really hard guitars in it, man. I'm Customized, another garage sounding. There's then it ends with Salem County Auto Show and How Come You Do Me starts off side two. Those are kind of slower and they're kind of 50s sound. In fact, side two has more of a 50s vibe to it. It's got Sinners on there. Great song. A song that they performed live, I believe, much earlier than this. But yeah, this is a much heavier album. And this, I believe, is a reissue. And it's on Epitaph Records on red vinyl. Really cool. Like I said, the Cramps really didn't make a bad album. And then they followed that up with another heavy album, and it's Big Beat from Badsville. I noticed the reissues have a different cover. Maybe this is a little too provocative for this day and age, you know. And yeah, this one's, I would say it's even harder than Flame Job. It starts off with a Cramp Stomp, but then God Monster, man. It's like got this heavy guitar, man. And this is really good. And again, side one has that real heavy guitar sound. Side two has more of a 50s sound to it. But yeah, very good album. And this one, this is the inner sleeve. And I guess I didn't mention, but from a Date with Elvis on, it was a single guitar, Poison Ivy playing all the guitars and bass. Before that, it was a dual guitar band, and they had no bass. And then their final studio album is, what is it? Fiend of Dope Island, yeah. And on this one, Lux Interior makes the cover. And yeah, this is a good album too, man. It's, like I said, they didn't make a bad album all the way to the very end. And this came out in 2003. I don't think I mentioned, this came out in 1997. Yeah, I'm not real organized when I do these. I do have right here a little note listing the records and the date, the year they came out. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember. I mean, I do know when they came out, but when I start filming, man, I go airhead sometimes, you know. I just blank out. But yeah, this is a really good album. And I don't think it has a bad song on it, man. And that's really quite surprising. And this is on Vengeance Records. And it's on green vinyl. Yeah. The color vinyl phase. And that's it for their official releases, studio albums. Now I got a bunch of bootlegs. And we're going to start off with the Cramps 1976 demo session. And this is with Miriam. It says here, with girl drummer Miriam. I think they started out with Pam was their first drummer. That was Brian Gregory's sister. I don't think she lasted very long. Miriam stayed with the band a year or two, I think. And yeah, this is 76 demos. Don't Eat Stuff Off the Sidewalk, which was off of their second album that came out in 81. So they were doing that song a long time. I mean, 5 years earlier. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, Sunglasses After Dark. And those two songs are great together. If nobody that knows, I should have mentioned it on their Songs the Lord Taught Us. But yeah, the one song ends on all this distortion, and then the second song picks up with the distortion and starts. Love Me, you got Domino, What's Behind the Mask, I Can Hardly Stand It, and I See You on My TV Set, which was TV set later. And yeah, it's pretty raw, but very good quality. I mean, I heard this on YouTube maybe 6 years ago or so. And oh wow, oh man, it's actually pretty good sounding, you know. So I picked it up. Another one I picked up maybe 5 years ago or so, it's the 1977 demos. And these are probably recorded with Alex Chilton. And it's got a lot of songs off of their 2 singles in their first album. This is like a silk screened. And you can still pick this up. I've seen this thing with many different colors, and it's really good. I got number 20 out of 100, but you can still, Underground Records has a copy of a version of this right now, you know. And yeah, side 1 ends with I Was a Teenage Werewolf and goes into Sunglasses After Dark, and really good version. Really well done. Really raw. And these, of course, are on colored vinyl. And that's the songs. And then here's Poison Ivy and Lux. Now, I didn't mention it, but on the 76 demos, Lux's vocals are a little different than what we're used to. I mean, there's parts where you can hear his the way he sings, but some of it, he hasn't quite got the full Lux Interior vocal that we were used to. Now, Poison Ivy and Brian Gregory, they had it down from the get-go. Now, the next bootleg is a 7-inch, and it's Dance of the Cannibals of Sex. And it's got Hurricane Fighter playing, backed with I'm Cramped. And this again is with Miriam on drums. And this is live at Max's Kansas City in 1977. It's okay recordings. I got it for Hurricane Fighter playing. And I mean, the version of I'm Cramped is pretty good, but there are better live versions. This one here was recorded live at Napa State Hospital in 1978. And I think they might have taken this off of the sound right off of the DVD. It's good, but you're better off just watching the video, and because it's really pretty wild. They did a free concert at the mental hospital, and yeah, it's just fun watching the reaction of the mental patients. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I recommend the DVD of that. And I think you can still find it. And it's pretty cool labels. I'm going to pull it out. Here it's just, says Cramps. But yeah, the backside got that pretty cool design, man. And that's a pretty recent bootleg. I think I bought that from Bomp Records. But I think, yeah, this one may still be around. Now, this next bootleg is one that I do recommend. And it's the Ohio demos. And I noticed Underground Records has I mean, they're still making this one too. But it's in blue, I think, the writing. But yeah, this is a really good. And it's basically the songs from the first album, Songs the Lord Taught Us. But some of these versions, I think, are better than the Alex Chilton mixes. And yeah, it's really good. I do recommend this one if you're a Cramps fan. I mean, if you're a Cramps fan, you don't need to get all these bootlegs that I have. But that is one that I do recommend. And my one is on this red label. And that is from 79. And this is a live one. This is really good too. And it's Werewolfin' After Dark. This one has been bootlegged, I think, quite a few times, and even with different covers. And it's the Cramps are like no other band. Live at Palo Alto, California, 1979. And this might be about the first time I saw them, was around this time. Saw them twice. They did one show and they were so good we went and went back for the second show. And yeah, this is a really good one. What's funny about these bootlegs is how they have these fake barcodes. I always got a kick out of that. And this one's on color vinyl, so I'm going to show it because that's how Rich rolls. And you just got the A and the B. Now the next one, I've seen this in a couple of different covers too. And this is a pretty recent bootleg. And this is the Cramps, Weekend on Mars. And it's Club 57, Irving Plaza, New York, New York, August 18th, 1979. FM radio broadcast. And yeah, this is another one that's really good quality. And this is on YouTube. And yeah, it's just, I mean, some of the songs are repeated in their sets, but other ones, you know, there's other ones they do that aren't. And yeah, that's a good one, man. I do recommend it. If you want a good live one. Now this next one, Rock and Roll Monster Bash. I don't remember this one. I listened to some of them, but I didn't. This one, it might not be quite as good as those other two live ones, if I remember right. And this is recorded at the Edge in Toronto, July 18th, 1980. And this one has Julian on second guitar. So it's 1980, but it's probably before Kid Congo joined the band. And this was a pretty recent one that I picked up. Also from Bomp Records. And it's got a cool cover. I guess I'll pull it out. What the hell? And pretty cool custom labels. Now the next one is one that I would not recommend. And it's kind of unfortunate. It's a really cool idea. It's the Cramps Psychedelic Redux. Some of it's really good. It's uneven, let's put it that way. Some of it's studio demos, some of it's live. And it's like from the 81 era, I believe. Yeah, it's all 81. And it's got some really old songs on here too. The Crusher. Oh no, that's on that album. Yeah, it's got basically the songs from the album. But it's very uneven. Pretty cool cover. I mean, an alternative take. Yeah, you got Lux in the bathtub, huh? Kid Congo, man. He had so much. Kid Congo had a lot of charisma on stage, too. And I'll take it out, man. And it's made to look like the IRS labels. Now this next one is another really good live one. And my version, it's just got this piece of paper. And the record was inside this. You know? And this is recorded in 1981 in Frisco. I think Mazzy was at this concert. And yeah, really, this is really good. Kid Congo Powers lineup. And it's on the Trademark of Quality label. Really good album. And there's 2 different versions of that. Now this next one, this is one that I highly recommend. And I wish they would release this. I believe this is a bootleg. I wish they would do like a comp album and put these tracks on there, dude. You got, this is also with the Kid Congo Powers right here. And you got 3 songs from 1982, which are 5 years ahead of my time. Fantastic. It's a 60s cover. You got a version of Call of the Wig Hat. And it's a studio version that was released on that live album that they released. And then you got Hanky Panky, another cover from the 60s. And then you got All Women Are Bad, which is a home demo from 1988. And on that demo, it's Lux Interior singing and Poison Ivy, she's playing the guitars, bass, and drums. Fantastic. If you can find this 7-inch, if you're into 7 inches, I do recommend it. And it's on Knife Records, whatever that is. Now the next live one is live at Clutch Cargo's, Detroit, 1982. And this is another fantastic sounding bootleg. I believe it may be the whole show. And this one's got Terry, what's his name? The guy from the Gun Club on drums. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Nick Knox is not on this. So I don't know if Nick Knox permanently left by 82 or not. And I'm going to show all of these labels because they got pretty cool pictures. You got Lux on side A. You got Poison Ivy, side B. And side C, you got Kid Congo Powers. And side D is Terry. I can't recall his name. Terry, what's his name? Now this next one, this is one of the last comps bootlegs I bought of theirs. And this is Voodoo Rhythm. And this is a bootleg of a bootleg. Because the picture is so dark, you can't even see Lux Interior. I know on the originals it's very dark, but you can see his face. You know what I mean? And this one, I would give it a B- grade. The first 4 songs are demos recorded in the studio. And they're pretty good, but they're not as good as some of those other demo albums I was showing. The next 4 songs are rehearsals. So they do a demo of Wig, and they call it Wig Head instead of Wig Hat. And they do a demo of Sinner. And then here they do it's in the rehearsal in the studio, Wig Hat and Sinner. And on these ones, they'll stop in the middle and then they start talking, and then they start over. And it's pretty cool. And the last 4 songs are live, and they're okay. There's a lot of kind of distortion on the bass, on the bottom end. I don't know if there's actually a bass in this. I don't think so, but on the bottom end, there's a lot of distortion. And this does show Brian Gregory on the cover, but he was not in the band. This is like in 1983, man. So it's Kid Congo Powers or someone else. Now these next ones, I was pretty jazzed when I found out about these. And it's Real Men's Guts versus The Smell of Female, Volume 1. And I might as well show them. And Real Guts versus The Smell of Female, Volume 2. Now, I bought this one first. And I really liked it, you know. I didn't pay it much attention. And then maybe 2 or 3 later, I came across this one. And it's just as good. And the reason is, these are kind of rip-off I mean, all bootlegs are kind of a ripoff, but these are basically 6 of the songs on here are the exact the Smell of Female. It's these versions here. And then some of the other tracks are live, and some of them are actually demos on this. So it is not, I mean, this is supposedly the first show, and then this is the second show, and then they took the best of these shows for the Smell of Female, and that is not the case. These are, I think these are Russian bootlegs, and they're a bit misleading. And I mean, they're good records, but you definitely don't need both of them. And this one's on red. And I did write this down too, because this is the one I bought first, and I kind of like this one better because it does have Goo Goo Muck on it. And I don't think Goo Goo Muck is on both of them. And this one is on black vinyl. And yeah, you got the 6 songs from the Smell of Female. Then there's 4 songs that are on both albums, the same exact version, which is Sometimes Good Guys Don't Wear White, You Got Good Taste, Weekend on Mars, and TV Set. And then there's 4 songs that are different on each one. On volume 1, you got Mad Daddy, Drug Train, Garbage Man, and Beautiful Gardens. On volume 2, you have Love Me, Goo Goo Muck, Sunglasses After Dark, and She Said. So there's 8 songs that are different from those 2. Now this is probably, I think this is the last comp that I got. And this is Sinners. This one, the sound quality's pretty good. It's kind of low. You got to jack up the sound. And yeah, it's Sinners. This is from 83, I think, or 84. 84, May 16th of 84. And yeah, Sinners didn't turn up on one of their albums until the 90s, you know. But yeah, really good set of songs. You know, you got their psychedelic, psychotic reaction. And then you also got, you know, some of their older ones like Domino. And this one, I don't think, yeah, this has Ike on guitar, whoever that is. So yeah, Kid Congo Powers was out of the band. And the labels on both sides look like that. Now, I don't know the year of this one, but I'm throwing it in there just because of the picture on the front. And I don't I'm sorry, I don't remember how this one sounds. If I remember right, I didn't really care for this one. Or it's not great. And it's just plain labels. And I don't even remember what songs are on this damn thing. It's got From Los Angeles with Love, the Cramps. And on the back it says Love Rubbed Off, Is Elvis Dead? And then it says Special Thanks to Rodney and KROQ. And now I got a couple from their tour from 1986, their European tour of 86. And it seems like every gig they did was broadcast on the radio, because there are a lot of bootlegs out now from the European 86 tour. And this one is the Cramps. These Pussies Can Do the Dog, and it's with Candy. Pretty cool album. Yeah, it's a good, complete show. Good sounding quality. All of the 86 ones are pretty good, man. And the labels, I think, are all different, but I'm not gonna. Now this one here, where is this recorded? Let me read it. Recorded live in Holland, April 3rd, 1986. And this one is Kiss My Ass. And this one is recorded. This is, can you read that? I mean, come on. Okay, here. February? Oh no, I don't know. It's on the same tour. This one, I don't think the sound is quite as good. I remember one is better than the other, and I think this is the one that is better. But all of those 86 ones that I've heard are actually pretty decent. And that's what the labels look like on that. They're all the same. And now, finally, my last bootleg. And this one is really cool, too. Because it's got... This is the lineup. It's the 90s lineup. And you can tell, you know, Lux and Poison, they're getting a little older. And the first three sides are from 1996. So it's kind of cool. You get some of those 90s really heavy songs recorded live. And then side D is from 1990. And yeah, it's really cool. I recommend this because it's the only bootleg I have recorded of them from the 90s. And that's what that label looks like. And on the back side, you got Poison Ivy, man. Fantastic guitar player she is. Underrated. Lux is underrated singer. And that's it. Woo! Take care, everybody. I hope this thing didn't go on too long. You lose track of time when you're doing these things, you know? Take care, everybody. I love you.